Hello there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to have lots of fun playing with the gel press. Oh my word, I have some cool new ideas for you to create texture with your gel press, and we're going to do some other things that are very textural on these super cute cards. So we're going to bag the gel press 5 ways today, and we're going to be using these darling new stamp sets. They're designed by Dani for the Trinity Stamp shop. They are brand new, they're super cute, and they all have coordinating dies. The first stamp I'm using is Rooting for You. I'm going to die cut out this entire thing, and then we'll do a bit of Copic coloring. I'm going to show you just a little bit of the coloring on each of these images so you can get a feel for how I colored them, and if you want to replicate anything, you can do that. What I love specifically about these images is that the artwork includes the sentiment, and the sentiments are uplifting, and they also give you an opportunity to make them colorful or decorative, and I just love that so much. These are some of my favorite stamps designed by Dani, and I kind of have a little collection of them going on, which is fine because they're at a really good price point, right? Love it. Okay, so you can see I have the marker caps on the screen there, so if you want to know what I used, you can. And next I'm going to show you how I color the letters. I wanted to incorporate that orange, the red, and the purple in my vegetables on these letters, so that's what I did, and I think it's just really fun to color these up different ways. And I do love a gel pen highlight on all my things, so I'm going to add that to the letters, the veggies, and everything. Okay, image number 2 is One in a Melon. I love all things watermelon, so I think this one is a must-have for my stash. I'm going to color my watermelon, finishing it off with a little bit of pink in there, just to really show how the watermelon kind of gets lighter towards the top. And then for the seeds, I'm just doing a really dark gray, and I think it's T8 and T6, but I wanted it to have a little contrast to it. Now for the rind, I have G05, G03, and then a really super light YG01, and I just love that combination. Plus you saw me stamp this image on a lighter, like fluorescent-y green cardstock, and I feel like that color kind of plays into that cardstock I'm using. Now we're gonna have a little fun with the letters. For the UR, I'm gonna do some polka dots. So I have RV14 as my lighter color, and then the polka dots will be red, so I'm using R29. R29 is like my go-to, lipstick red. Love it. Okay, so polka dots for that, and then for the word melon, I'm going to do some like watermelon stripes. So I'm starting out with G05 as my base color. All of the letters are going to get this color, just full coverage. And then a darker color, G16, is what I'm going to make those kind of scratchy little wide bands of color that kind of remind me of the stripes on a watermelon, which I did do on that larger slice down there. And this is just so much fun to color. And of course, the white gel pen just brings it to life. Now for the dies. So this die set has a die to cut out all the things. UR has its own die. Melon has its own die. The watermelon itself has its own die. And there's 2 little heart dies. And the hearts on this image are actually like watermelon seeds side by side. Is that not precious? I love it. So I glued those down to paper piece them to my green stamped image, and then I am covering that watermelon, making it look so juicy with some glaze, and this is really going to give it some extra texture. For the watermelon seeds, I pulled out my black Nuvo drops. I love the black. I don't know, you don't think you're like going to use black all the time, but black embellishments are just like a staple in my stamp room. I love them. Okay, let's move on to the Berry Sweet stamp set. Little secret between you and me, this one's my favorite. Yep, I love it. So the strawberries are going to be red, but you know, a little ombre effect. We're going to have a highlight here. So I'm starting with my darkest color and moving to my lightest color. I'm kind of going for a red that has a little bit of a coralness to it. So finishing that off with R14, which by the way is a brand new Copic marker to me. I love new markers. I'm like slowly building up my Copic marker collection, which makes me so happy each time I get a little handful of them. So I tried out some of my new ones today. So now I'm coloring out the stem with YG09 and then my lighter color YG06. And these are all these images. It just makes me so happy to color them. So for the letters, I decided to do a little ombre effect. So I'm doing BG32 on the bottom half of the letters and BG11 at the top. And this like aqua blue color is my favorite color of all time right now. I love color so much, you know, but I really love this color. Ugh. So I am now die cutting out the words, but you should know there's also a die to cut out the strawberries and all three of the hearts. So lots of fun to be had with that. You can arrange them in different ways. Now this is the Ap-peach-iation stamp set. I stamped it on white, I stamped it on peach. I am going to color out the peaches on the white, and I'm using YR02 as my darkest color, and my lightest is E95. It's kind of hard to see on the screen, but that's going to give me that nice highlight there in the middle. And then for the greenery, I have YG09 and the YG06 that I used on the strawberries, and that's going to be for my stems. Now I'm going to paper piece this, so on my peach colored paper, I'm just going to darken out those bubble letters with my YR2 marker. A YR02. Yeah, that's the one. Now I'm die cutting out the peaches so I can pop them up onto the other piece, and I just like this look a lot. But with these dies, and you're able to die cut out all the different pieces, it really lets you configure things in different ways. Okay, now this one we got to talk about. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. First of all, it's adorable. And I love this color combination, the bright green and the bright yellow all on one image. It's really cute. And then the dies. Let's talk about the dies. There is a die to die cut out this entire image, right? Like bubble cut around it. The other dies in this set are like super special. You can use them in a sense to maybe die cut out the lemon and the pea pod, but really the dies in this set are made to die cut a whole separate lemon and a whole separate pea pod. See the little pieces here? Then you paper piece them together. So you could use these separately. So I'm going to show you that on the card I'm going to make. So after this, we're going to do some gel press prints, and we're going to talk about bagging it, and then we'll put it all together in our cards. But there you can see what those die pieces look like. They can paper piece right over the top. Okay, let's move on to the backgrounds and the gel press. I have my 5x7 gel press here. I put some orange acrylic paint that's heavy bodied with a matte finish on it, and I'm brayering that to cover the entire gel press. And now I'm going to bring in my first bag. I'm so excited about this, you guys. This is a piece of burlap bag. Burlap's one of my favorite things to use on the gel press. I mean, look at that yummy, delicious texture. Oh, I love it. Okay, so when we peel this back, you're going to see the impression of the gel, of the burlap into the paint, and it's super fun. So find you some burlap, okay? You're going to love it on your gel press. Now, there's still plenty of paint there. It's kind of dried. It's very you know, getting warm and drying out here in Idaho. And so I put a little thin layer of white paint on there, put my paper on and let that dry. And then you peel it off, and it's going to pick up all this delicious texture. This is the pattern I'm going to use on my card. I love it. So I'm going to bring out layering rectangle die set from Trinity Stamps. This creates layers for A7 size cards, so 5x7. All my cards today are going to be 5x7, so it's perfect for cutting out my backgrounds. I cut out this extra layered piece, and I'm going to stamp it with the encouragement background stamp. This has a bunch of words that look like they're typed that are just encouraging. Words that you don't really have to read, they're just kind of cool for a background. And to really give this some texture, I stamped it with clear embossing ink, and I'm embossing it with clear embossing powder. It creates an image that's a shade darker than my paper, raised up, shiny, gorgeous. Okay, for my second sentiment, I am bringing in this supporting script sentiment stamp set from Trinity and embossing that with white powder on some purple paper. So I'm just trying to tie in all the colors that I used in my image that I colored. And now we can put the whole thing together. So there's my yummy, delicious burlap background. I added some burlap ribbon from the Dollar Tree with some double stick tape right down the center. I wanted the ends to be a little bit frayed. And then here comes my hand stamped background with the type on it. On top of that is going my cute little stamped image. I love how it die cuts right around that. It's so cool. And then So Proud of You. So that I'm actually trimmed off the edges so it didn't hang off my sides of my panel there. And that completes card number 1 using a piece of burlap bag, which somebody had gotten from a coffee shop and gave me some of it. So love it. Okay. Now for background number 2, I am using some red, bright pink, and then more of a pastel pink on this background. And I'm going to brayer that, clean off the excess paint, brayer the next color, and let it blend a little bit with the red that I already brayered. And I'll do the same thing with that lighter pink. And these colors are so fun. Can you guess what card they're going to go with? What image? Okay, now I'm bringing in bag number 2. This is like a grocery store bag. You crinkle it up and you can use it to transfer the different colors on top of the other colors and give it this really cool pattern. It's random, but yeah, pattern. So there's the background. I even picked up a second print. I believe I actually ended up going with the first print, but you got to see how cool it is with the lighter texture. Now, some of the paint had started to dry, some of it was still wet, and that's why my paper ripped a little bit because I had a portion that was still wet. Okay, this is the background I'm using. I die cut it with that same die cut, and then it's time to add more texture to this with my Stickles Moon Dust. I love this. It's like a gel paste. It has flecks of small glitter in it, and it has larger flecks of glitter, and they're so shimmery and iridescent. So I used, I think this is like You Are My Sunshine stencil from Trinity Stamps. I love the size, 6x9. Great for any size card. And now I'm mounting my cute little melon onto 2 pieces of cardstock I stuck together, so I had a little green edge. I don't know. I just thought it was fun. And then I'm mounting that onto a frame of black glitter paper. So now everything's dry. I'm putting my card together. Again, this is a 5x7 card. My background is all dry and looking fabulous with that glitter on top of the gel press print. There's so much texture on these cards, but you can always have a little more, right? I love cards that have something glittery, something that is a rough texture, something smooth, something shiny, embellishments. Like, I really want people to want to reach out and touch the card and feel like super special when they get my cards, right? So there is the You Are One in a Melon card. I love the shiny watermelon on there. Okay, for my next background, I am going to use some yellows and greens. So you probably guessed this one's going with the lemon image. So we're going to brayer these just like I did on the previous one, cleaning off my brayer on a scratch paper. And let me tell you, when you clean off your brayer onto a scratch paper, sometimes that brayer paper is pretty awesome. So don't throw those out and maybe put them on some paper you would maybe use on a card, because I oftentimes love the little print that I get over there on the side. A lot. Okay, for this one, I have a bag that lemons actually came in. I'm going to lay that on my gel press and press it into my gel press with a piece of cardstock, which is going to give me another print I could use for something. But what I really want is this right here, taking a second print after pressing that bag into my gel press. And yeah, it's fabulous. I love it. That's the print I'm using on my card. Die cutting that out with the same rectangle die that's going to give me a little bit of a white border when I eventually mount that to my 5x7 card. I'm doing some splattering on this. Now, my theory is I'm going to put a lot of splatter on because a lot of it's going to get covered up. Okay, but we're going to let that dry while I take some die cut lemons and create a little background panel. doing tone on tone, yellow die cut lemons on yellow cardstock. And I just think this is a really fun extra panel for this card, and it's texture, right? Because those lemons are raised up off the paper. So I love doing this. I usually do it with white on white, but I thought the yellow was really fun. Also, for my splatter, I am taking some of that yellow acrylic paint, adding just a bit of water to it, and splattering that by dragging that paintbrush on the edge of my window sheet there. That's dry. So I decided, why don't we put a little bit of the lemon bag on the card itself? So I cut off a piece of it, and I just am gathering it up and sticking it to the back here. Now it needs a little haircut, so we'll just trim that off so it's even. And there I have this fun texture and like visually interesting thing on my card. It's going to be more subtle than it appears now once everything is stuck down. So there's my background made on the gel press. I used some double stick tape. It's going to help hold that lemon bag on and let it stick down to my card really well. Now the stamped image, I'm leaving it just as it is. I'm not die cutting it out at all. I liked the rectangles repeated on this card, but we're going to add some embellishment before we're done and some more die cuts. You'll see where those go. So I have some of the amazing rhinestones from Trinity Stamps in the yellow and the green. And I don't know if you know this, but I talk about it on my videos a lot. Trinity Stamps has rhinestones in like every color under the sun, in the rainbow, black, iridescent. Oh my gosh. I love them so much. So I'm going to link the ones I used, and when you click on it, you'll go over to the shop and you can look at all the colors and decide which ones you have to have. It might be easier to decide which ones you don't want. Did you see my lemon and my little pea pod I stuck on the inside for a little extra something? Love it. Okay, we're moving on to our fourth background. I believe this is our fourth background. It could be our fifth background. Okay, but we're brayering. We're brayering on this Aqua colored paint. It's called Cool Pool, and taking a produce bag. I'm going to lay that down, and then you can see I'm just taking my fingers and like twisting the bag. Oh my word, I love this. Look how gorgeous that is. So I'm pressing the bag down because I can remove the paint from the bag and make something cool over there on the side. And then this print is magically delicious. I love it. So I am definitely using that for this card. And then I will take my stamped image where I die cut out the sentiment. I backed it with a piece of white because I wanted to paper piece the sentiment back in, but I wanted to give it a little like drop shadow with some red cardstock, and then I'll pop it up right above. So see, having these dies is giving me the versatility to do cool little things with these stamped images, and I'm loving it. So now let's put it all together. For the texture on this card, I wanted a little stitching. Stitching is very popular in cards right now. There's dies that create this like super awesome, amazing things to stitch, and I love those, but sometimes you want to keep it a little bit simple. So I'm just gonna like do a little kind of cross stitch, little X's on each of the corners around this green panel of cardstock. Now this is just glued right down to my gel press print here, but I left enough of it showing that you could see that awesome swirly paint. And then I'm going to repeat this 3 more times and then pop up my focal image so you can still see those little stitches on there. All right, this is getting stuck down to my 5x7 card, and like I said, this one's my favorite. But more embellishments. I have some red hearts from Trinity Stamps that are clay elements. I love these. They're really lightweight. They have a matte finish, and you know, you can use hearts on just about any card, right? Yeah, so they're a good one to have in the stash too. All right, we do have one more card. I remember, oh, this background, I knew I had done bags on all the previous cards, and I needed an idea, like I need another bag, what am I going to do? And I decided to do a paper bag. I'm going to scrunch it up a bunch of times and then make it, or kind of press it out flat with my hands. So for the paint, I have this bright green paint. I'm going to do one color, and I am brayering that to get it nice and smooth and completely cover my gel press. And then I'll take that paper bag and press it down, kind of like I did with the burlap. And look at that. Oh my word, I've never done this before. Some of the other techniques I have done, like the burlap, which I completely love, and the lemon bag. So this one just made me so happy. Oh my word. And you could even use the bag with the paint on it as a background. All right, now I wanted this to kind of look like maybe a label that would be on a box of peaches. So I am going to distress it up a little bit with some vintage photo, splattering that on. I love splatter, y'all. I love it. So I like this subtle splatter on there. And then I'll take the little ink cube itself and drag it on the edge of the paper. And that's going to, you know, kind of distress it a little bit. And also, without giving it a layer behind it, it kind of darkens that edge enough that, you know, it almost appears layered, if that makes any sense. So because I had the idea that you could use the bag that had the paint on it, and I'd already used the lemon bag, I decided, well, why not use a little piece of the paper bag on my card? So I did. And I have this craft colored cardstock that totally matches the color of the bag, and I just put that all together. But I did want to do a little flocking on this card. So I have some double-sided adhesive sheets that I'm sticking down to some green cardstock. I'm going to die cut the heart die from this die set that would cut out that heart right there in the middle. And then after I die cut it, I removed the backing on that double-sided paper and then stuck it down into my green flocking. I didn't have peach colored flocking, but because I thought it would be really cute to add that to the peaches themselves, but green will do. It's a, you know, inspired by a fuzzy peach, right? Okay, so now I am adding some peach colored gems all around my sentiment there, and oh my word, this one's really cute too. I just love these images so much. They make me so happy, and playing with my gel press makes me feel so artistic. I just love it. I like getting a little bit messy, and creating my own backgrounds is literally my favorite thing about making cards. So a lot of favorites in this video. I hope that you enjoy it because a lot of my heart has gone into these cards, and I had so much fun making them. So let me know what you think about bagging your gel press, and maybe you have a favorite card. Let me know in the comments below. I love chatting with you, and I have the supplies I used linked for you below, as well as all the supplies from the newest Trinity Stamps release. I'll see you soon on the next video. Happy stamping! Bye!